Do you feel like, in retrospect, that you kind of took your foot off the gas a little bit too early in the fourth quarter?
I wouldn't say that. I think, you know, with the margin we had and the time that was on the clock, you know, the biggest issue to me, Mike, was the two turnovers. Two turnovers in on your side of the 50, right? So even with that in the field position, with the time that we used to go the length of the field, and those two turnovers at the end of the game on our side of the 50 cost us more than anything else. You know, from a strategy standpoint, you're not strategizing to turn it over twice inside on your side of the 50.
Did you feel the momentum slipping?
No, I think that the turnovers were the key. You know, even with what had happened, you know, you go back and look at 12 or 10 minutes ago in the game, and you know, we scored late, and as I said, you know, the strategy and even being able to punt the ball and have them go the length of the field, you know, with the time that was on, with the number of possessions that were left in the game, you know, time was a factor. But after the two turnovers, you know, those are two possessions that were plus possessions on our side of the 50. So, yeah, and then that was, you know, there's many plays in the game, more than just the field goal at the end. There's a lot of things in this football game that dictated the outcome. But I think also, you know, we go the first half and really go up and down the field and kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns. And, you know, and then you get back to the end of the game and we turn it over. And you can't do that in a close football game. In any game, to turn the ball over on your own side of the 50, and, you know, we hold them one time. But, you know, I don't know about a momentum shift. I think the biggest shift in momentum were the turnovers.
Khalil was 12 of 16 in the first half and 9 of 23 in the second half. Did they seem like they adjusted something defensively that made it harder for you guys?
I don't know that it was a big adjustment. I think, you know, we were in more of an RPO world in the first half, and we went to some quick game stuff and some drop back where, you know, he scrambled a little bit more in the second half than maybe he did in the first half. So, if anything else, you know, the fourth quarter was they were, you know, we took some deep shots because they were blitzing and gambling at the line of scrimmage with, you know, 8, 9, 10 guys, and we took our shots and we didn't hit them. And, you know, those deep throws are percentage-wise going to be lower than a lot of the balls that he completed off of some bootlegs and things like that in the first half.
Khalil declined to answer questions about whether he would return next year. Would you comment on that?
Yeah, I think, you know, those conversations I have with players, you know, juniors after the season. So, you know, that's the way we've done it all the time. And so we'll get the information, all the information that he wants from the NFL and from evaluations and things like that, and sit down and talk about what his plans are and what those evaluations look like now that the season's over.
What do you tell your team after a game like this?
Well, you know, first I thank the seniors. You know, those guys. I haven't been here a year. I got here January 14th. So those guys, I'm very, very appreciative of their work. You know, you got guys in there that are junior college guys. You got guys like Tony Ellison, who's been here 5 years. You know, so, you know, to adjust and play the way he's played this year and do really what we've asked him to do, that's I appreciate them. And because, you know, you get a new coach, there's all kinds of new things that happen. So as the first message was to them, and I wish things had been different, you know, this afternoon, but they're not. And for the young guys, you know, this should be, the feeling in that locker room should be something that you don't forget. And that feeling in the locker room is something that, you know, in the off season when you don't necessarily feel like that extra rep or that extra run, you got to go back to this feeling in the locker room right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not forgetting that feeling and actually keeping that feeling in the off season and to help push you maybe in times when you don't necessarily feel like doing everything that we ask you to do.
Do you think you might have gotten the most out of this roster?
As a coach, you think, you know, always you never ever feel like you get everything out of everybody. I think, you know, the circumstances of this year were different. We want to do better. You know, we've got a lot of moving parts this year, you know, defensively, offensively, in the offensive line, and to solidify, you know, our offensive line and really moving, you know, guys around in the defensive line. Really, the two real constants this year were really our two linebackers and our walk-on center, because and JJ. That's really were the constants for all of our games, and we knew what we had at wide receiver, and I thought those guys, you know, they played well this year. So, but those are seniors, you know. But yeah, as a coach, you know, you always go back and look and talk to yourself about, hey, you're always looking to do better every time, no matter what it is.
What did you think of Troy Young's performance pressed into starting duty with Lorenzo being unavailable?
You know, they went at him a couple times. I thought he held up. You know, he's those guys are, you know, good young players and have grown, and you could see his confidence is a lot different than it was at the beginning of the year. You know, with the situations he was in with two really good wideouts, you know, I thought he did a nice job. You know, we had a miscommunication on the deep ball early, where we should have got some help out of the post. So you know, that was not necessarily all on him. And so I thought, you know, for a young guy, I thought he played pretty well.
Time for one or two more questions here.
In a game like this, as you know, you talked about the field goals early. There were a couple fumbles that they had that you didn't recover.
Two of them on the ground that, you know, bounced up, we didn't get. Yep.
Do you feel like when all that's happening, like, man, this could come back to bite us at some point? Do you get that sense as it's going along?
You know, I don't know that you do it that way. You know, I'm not necessarily. You're looking at, in the moment, you're looking at, all right, what can we do to fix what's going on, right? What are we doing here that we're stalling out? You know, how in the red zone, you know, is it scheme? Is it personnel? What is it? You know, is it? So, I mean, in that moment, and then maybe at halftime, you know, when we sat down and talked offensive staff-wise, we talked about that, about, you know, the opportunities we had, and they scored touchdowns, but you can't dwell on that at that point. You got to move on and say, hey, how do we fix this right now? And how do we fix that and get touchdowns instead of field goals?
Can you explain the thought process in going for two a couple times when you did earlier in the game?
Yeah. Basically, we got off the number early, based on, you know, some statistical data that we use, and trying to get back on the even number. So it's really based on that statistical data.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.